Meltdown presents The Disney Click with Rick and Briers. This podcast is sponsored by Meltdown Comics and Collectibles in Hollywood, California. Find Meltdown on meltcomics.com.
Hey guys, welcome to the Disney Click. I'm Rick.
And I'm Briers.
We're so glad you joined us this week. On this week's episode, got a few fun things to talk about. They're always fun, but these are sort of maybe
extra fun
and a little more controversial. And this is kind of our changes episode. I like to call it our changes episode because the first thing we're talking about on the Disney list is top 5 controversial changes through the Disney parks
in
stuff.
the U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S., the U.S. parks. And we feel that have had sort of a ripple effect through the community. People have had a problem or an issue with it. And we thought it would be a fun list to do. So we'll get into that. We also have what we call Disney defensive, things that people say to us or that we hear that Briers and I cringe a little bit about. Or want to step up on our soapbox and defend a little bit more.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. As I'm hearing what's in this episode, I'm like, this is right up Rick's alley. All of this just is really fun for him.
It's her way of saying these are negative
can
things.
Come out. Exactly.
Yeah. These are not negative things. These are things that these are realistic things.
They're a little bit on the on the defensive, on the controversial side, and
But the world is not always a fairy tale, and even
I'm
within
not saying it is.
the Disneyverse,
this episode is kind of like Christmas morning for you a little bit. And then the final segment.
The final segment is going to be a short little quiz on Toy Story for Briers. I'm gonna try to stump her on a few Easter eggy kind of things in the Toy Story movies, and which is
I'm a little nervous.
Yeah,
I was not able to study as much as I would have liked. Just like high school, I couldn't stay up late.
You shouldn't study too much, though, right?
You don't want to overstudy.
Toy Story is your thing.
Yes,
right?
There's some knowledge in there. Yeah,
okay.
But I don't have great recall.
Here comes the excuses. She's
not
looking
excuses.
At me with. She's fearful.
I'm being very honest. Viewers at home don't expect a lot.
It'll be
fun.
Viewers,
and by viewers, I mean listeners. People
Someday.
Staring at their phone, viewing their phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see our faces on our logo, viewers of the logo.
Our cartoon versions of ourselves.
Okay, so
one happy, one sad.
Why don't we get into this thing we call the Disney list?
And now, the Disney list.
All right, we're going to start off with the top 5 Disney list. This is controversies, changes from the U.S. Disney parks. And we have not talked about any of this ahead of time.
Never.
We were talking a little bit before we started recording, and we're thinking that we might have some crossover here because I don't know if there's obvious ones or things that just feel like they popped out at both of us. Mm-hmm. But hopefully we don't have all the same 5 because we like to mix it up a little bit. I think there's one that Briers is not going to have on our list. I'm pretty sure she won't have it on our list.
Interesting.
And she'll see why. But will you kick us off on number 5?
Sure, yes. And I just want to say in choosing the quote-unquote most controversial changes to the parks, I chose things that maybe I didn't necessarily think I agreed that I was up in arms about it, but I had just an opinion, or I felt intrigued by that or interested in it and felt like it was worth addressing.
Yeah, I think we have a feeling on it.
Interest in that controversy.
So to be clear, it's not necessarily things we agree with 100%, but it does bring up feelings within us. There's an understanding. There's a viewpoint on these issues.
Yes,
okay.
Like some things we might have actually liked the change or not.
Right, right. So
we'll let you know.
Right.
I think we tend to share our opinions.
Oh, we always do.
Okay, so my number 5 is the removal of the sorcerer's hat in Disney's Hollywood Studios, formerly known as MGM Studios. And I chose this mainly because I'm just very invested in that park, if you've listened to any of our previous episodes.
More so than a lot of people probably are.
Yeah. So I speak for the park. It's like the Lorax. I speak for the trees. So I felt really interested in this because it was the icon or the icon for the park since 2001 when it was built. When it was built, it was controversial because it blocked a very famous, wonderful ride, the Chinese theater ride. And
The great movie ride?
Yeah, the great movie ride inside the Chinese theater. And and before that, I will say it was the park opened in 1989, and the icon before that was the Earful Tower, which was a water tower with ears, which I felt connected to that. I don't know why they had to do away with that.
It's still there, isn't it? The water tower with the ears?
For some reason, I feel like it isn't.
I feel like it is still there. Boy, you can tell that Disney World is not our home park, but
I know.
I'm pretty sure it's
so
there.
long.
I could be wrong. Well, I'm sure you, the listener, will let us know pretty quickly.
Yeah, people will have opinions and feel like we're very uninformed. But I know that with taking away the ears, the sorcerer's hat, taking that away. I will say that they changed the icon of the park to the Hollywood Tower of Terror, in the interim period,
right,
is what they're doing. So they didn't go back to the Earful Tower.
Right.
I think it was taken down
okay.
for water reasons.
I'm not claiming 100%.
I don't know. Yeah, I should have looked into that, controversy wise.
It's something we take for granted. Probably it's there. It's there or not there. It's kind of, I think we just kind of accept it.
More charming, and all movie studio lots have one. It went with the theme. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, and maybe you're going to get to this, but were you upset when they took the Mickey sorcerer hat down, or were you happy?
I was leaned more. I wasn't like over the moon, like yes, burn the hat, but I was not fully up in arms, and I think I see it as like the new hope to quote Star Wars.
Right.
Unexpectedly from me, a 2.5. Was that my rating?
I think you were a 4 or a 5 on Star Wars.
Well, that's sweet of you.
That might be generous. But,
yeah, that's a little generous. So I was excited. I see it as a chance for a revival of the park, and I'm kind of excited to see what they do next. I just do hope that because Star Wars will be in there, some more Star Wars attractions, I hope they don't make it like a Star Wars icon.
Right.
I want it to stay in the movie
realm.
I
think it will. I thought it was great when they took it down. I always thought it felt like they just slapped it in there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It just didn't fit there. It blocked the Grauman's Chinese Theater.
It looked cheap.
It just didn't look right.
It didn't look like they'd put effort. Maybe if they'd made it like a more impressive structure that people wanted to go and admire. Because it's from Fantasia. It has a neat, story behind it. It had good intentions. I think it was not executed well.
Yeah. It just kind of felt like aliens, or the claw just came and plopped it down in the middle and just went away and said, okay, we're going to leave this here for a long time.
It's a Toy Story reference?
That was a Toy Story reference.
Done.
Thank you. I think that a lot of people in the Disney fan community probably support it being taken down. I could be reading this wrong.
Overall, I think people were, But there were some people, I'm sure there are people out there that were like, the hat. I think more like maybe people born around 2001, and that's all they've known. Whereas we knew a previous icon, and so we weren't that attached to it.
Right.
So you're number 5.
Well, okay, my number 5. Let me say before, there was an honorable mention that I wanted to say that just missed my list. A lot of the major Disneyland enthusiasts, historians, which we are not, but the Court of Angels, it's a courtyard in New Orleans Square by Pirates of the Caribbean, and I think it leads up to or close to by Club 33, was taken away a couple years back.
Do you know what it looked like?
It was just a courtyard, kind of in an archway in the back. It now has a stained glass thing there, but you just go back and it's just a peaceful, quiet courtyard area surrounded by walls with not a spiral staircase. I don't know what it's called. It's sort of a old mansion-y curved staircase that goes up to the second floor in New Orleans Square. And they took it away because they used it for Club 33, the exclusive club at Disneyland, an expansion. And a lot of people really appreciated that as a quiet corner of the park.
Was there like a bench you could sit on or something? I mean, a way you could
believe there was.
Rest
I
there?
believe. I mean, you could sit on the steps if they weren't roped off. They might have been roped off, but it was a nice quiet area, and I believe there was some seating right around there. I could be.
It does sound like a bummer.
I didn't spend a lot of time in there. It's why it's not on my list, because to me, I thought it was pretty and nice. It's me sort of going to the online community, Disney community of people who really have a feelings towards that, that area in Norland Square.
Do you know what year this occurred, the removal?
I believe it was 2012 or 13.
Oh, so pretty recently.
Yeah,
Wow.
I can't recall exactly. I want to say maybe 2013. Wow. It was, but it could be even as recent as 2014. It's recent. It's very recent. Yeah, and it was a big deal to a lot of people. To me, look, I like those little touches. It's very important to what makes Disneyland and even Disney World special. But
so that was your number 6.
Well, it was an honorable mention. My number 5. My number 5. Sorry, Briers, you're not going to like this one. Starbucks.
Oh, no.
Starbucks coming into
I
coming
thought
to
about
Main
putting
Street.
it on there just to defend it.
Yeah, I don't think it's the most terrible thing in the world. However, there is sort of a tradition of sponsorship throughout the park. Okay, and even
absolutely.
the Coca-Cola corner,
Kodak.
Coca-Cola corner in Disneyland is there, and that has a big Coca-Cola thing on it, and Kodak, as you said, and they have these things, but the idea that they've blended it in and doesn't say Starbucks in big letters, but it's a Starbucks, and it's right in the middle of Main Street, USA. And a little bit what Walt Disney was kind of building and rallying against, or wouldn't have liked, is the homogenization of America, of Main Street, of all these stores that we have everywhere coming to here. And now Disneyland, and I believe Disney World, it's happening as well. It's like a lot of what America is. It's not a huge deal. They did a very good job blending it in, but it doesn't change the fact that it's there, and that's controversial when you talk about the history of the parks.
Yeah, my defense is that it's so well hidden. I mean, if you took someone and gave them no map and said find the Starbucks, they'd have a time of it. And so that you have to give a lot of credit for that. And even going inside, once you are in the Starbucks, it doesn't look like a Starbucks. You can just order Starbucks beverages, but they also carry, I think, some of the original food items that you could have gotten there. And for people, I don't know if there's anywhere else that you can get such a variety of drinks, like all those, what Starbucks offers, all the frappuccinos and everything in such detail. Where else could you go? There was never like a full-on coffee shop like that that had everything and teas and... I
don't think there's any argument that the coffee... I mean, some people don't like Starbucks, but I don't think there's any argument that the coffee is better than what was there before. But it was
just coffee, though.
You're right.
It offers such a variety now.
You're right, but you're in Disneyland. I guess they are into offering variety, and that's not a bad thing. But there is something about being in that bubble and saying, okay, I don't need my latte and my iced blended and my iced tea and this. I'm not saying that this is what everybody should feel.
I find it very convenient.
No, I know you love it.
And the cups are so charming. If anyone's seen them, it says like Starbucks on one side, and then the other side has this cool like sprinkling of famous Disney characters, like tiny little. I don't know. I just find they did it in such a charming way, and they didn't. You don't feel like you're like Starbucks and it's in your face. And it is interesting to look around and see how many people are carrying a Starbucks cup. So as much as maybe people did boycott it or have issue with it, it's doing fine.
Well, but you have a captive audience, and people like their Starbucks anyway. So this is not, but you do have a captive audience. It's right there. It's coffee place to get. But they did close down.
Nice.
I understand. They closed down Tiziana and the Market House restaurant to make this. So people might have had an attachment to those places. I don't know. It's a little slowly but surely, and I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-duddy here, but there's a more of a corporate culture than Disney already is, kind of coming into the park. And while I'm more than okay with change, there is a part of me that mourns a little bit with each passing big change that takes some of the uniqueness away from what Disneyland and even Disney World is.
Yeah, and not to sound hypocritical, because I take that same side. I want to keep it, as much the same as possible. I think some things like this, letting this company come in that's going to offer such a great variety, but I don't know. In long term, I think they need to be very, and it seems like they made this decision and really did all they could to protect the integrity of the park and the look of it and the feel.
They
that
did
it's
a good
still
job.
Main Street.
They did a good job, so I can't complain too much about that. Number 4, Briers.
My number 4 is the construction of Avatar Land in Animal Kingdom. Mainly, I was just interested. Because I take the side, again, I think this was why I struggled coming up with these controversies, because a lot of them I was like, oh, I'm excited about that, or like, the Starbucks. I'm very excited about Avatar Land, but the online community is, I think, torn, you could say, or
I don't think
not
they hate
sure.
it, but they're just unsure.
Yeah, I think people are unsure. It did replace Camp Mini Mickey, so for people that had an attachment to that. But it's going to offer 2 new rides, a restaurant, and more that has not been revealed. But the main controversy was that the movie is about made-up creatures, and it's being put in a park devoted to live animals. And so people think that maybe it didn't fit the theme of Animal Kingdom. I think it does, mainly because the theme of the Avatar film is preservation of Mother Nature and taking care of our natural resources. And that's what Animal Kingdom is all about. It's looking at animals and nature and showing respect to them. So
Right.
I think it's a great fit, and it would look weird or feel weird in any other park.
Yeah. It is controversial in one hand because the IP is, I think a lot of people don't have an attachment to it, and they're like, Disney, this is the best you came up with or could grab. It's not a Star Wars, it's not a Marvel or whatever is. It's
But
people just don't.
But there isn't. There's got to be some attachment. I mean, it was the highest grossing film at the time.
I think things
tenfold. It did so well.
This is probably a different argument for a different day, but just because something does that well doesn't mean that it's going to stay with us for a long time. I know they're doing sequels, but I don't know. Home Alone at one point was a big.
No, yeah, but
thing,
I remember as it was coming out, the attachment people felt and wanting to be a part of, wanting to be in that world,
Right.
and be one of the people and be able to have their animal that they could like connect their hair to and stuff.
Right.
People were literally forming communities and trying to recreate the
Right.
vibe. Like,
Interesting.
there was a strong.
Okay.
It was.
Maybe that wasn't my reality because I didn't hear of it or see any of that at all.
I remember
And
reading
anybody
it
I
and being
talked
like,
to.
whoa, people were
Interesting.
really invested. And I don't know if that could be a very niche community.
I'm trying to think of something more recent that has that. I mean, Avatar is a brand new property. Hasn't been around, so it's perhaps unfair for me to point out like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or any of the DC or Marvel stuff or and any of that, or Harry Potter. That's a little bit unfair, I guess. But those have big, huge cult followings. I don't feel Avatar has that. It might have a cult following that I don't know about, but I just feel like that. So
This could be good. Maybe it will offset the Star Wars crowds.
Maybe.
Just like your dream.
Maybe
Meant to be.
I think
you
I
go.
think it's going to be very popular as anything new that's built. So, but I don't
hope
think that means
years from now we look back and we're like, oh, we were so scared about
Right.
that land, and it fit in so perfectly,
Right.
and the rides are
Right.
state of the art and incredible.
Right,
That's
they're gonna do.
my hope.
They're gonna do a good job. It's a matter of how
Disney.
good and how
Come
much
on.
people. Yeah, people were gonna go there. They build it. People are gonna go there. So
If you build it, they will
I was
come.
trying to avoid that and leave
You
it to
set it
Briers.
up.
To I
You
know.
served it to me on
I
a-
know. As
on
I
a
said it, I
silver
said, "Oh
baseball
gosh,
platter."
don't say this," and I said it, and then
said
Briers
it.
just took the ball and ran with it.
You can do your number 4
Well,
to,
my number
to
4.
get away from
let
it.
me add that speaking of Star Wars Land, something that inspired this discussion was the changes that have been coming to Disneyland, with the Rivers of America being shaved off by 25% and being shut down recently for Star Wars Land. The rerouting, supposedly the train, the Disneyland Railroad, and the river around, and that to me is what inspired this whole idea of change. So. Yeah. So anyway, number 4. I hope I didn't just take something on your list. Okay.
No,
Okay.
you're good.
Okay. Number 4 is.
Sorry, I wish I was more invested in 4 Rivers of America,
Yeah.
but they didn't
Well, I
make
think
my
that's
list.
not understandable.
R.I.P.
It didn't make my list as well.
No,
I think
clearly.
I think it's an okay change. I don't think it's a big
It's a
deal.
small sacrifice for a bigger.
I guess I agree with that.
Yeah, I think
But a
that's
lot of
how
people
we
have an
view it.
attachment to it.
Yeah, and the train
Yep.
being changed, but okay.
Yeah, we'll see. Number 4 is alcohol in Disney World. It's coming. Be Our Guest restaurant, when it opened in 2012, I believe, they made a decision in the Magic Kingdom to have alcohol at that restaurant. And it's a big thing that Walt Disney has always said. He wanted to be a family park and not have that element into the park. But sure enough, sales in a French place with French wine and beer was too great for them to resist. That was a controversy for some people. I think overall people are okay with it. But I'm also curious if the cantina in the new Star Wars Land in Disneyland is going to have alcohol. I tend to think it won't, but it could. Nothing surprising.
Because Disneyland, as of now, is still alcohol
Correct.
free. Yeah,
Outside of Club 33.
right. Which is so minute.
Correct. So that was a big deal when alcohol came
so
into
what
Magic
are your
Kingdom.
opinions on that?
I think it's okay. I think if you don't create I think the one danger park of that might be Epcot and its World Showcase.
They've always had that.
Absolutely, and well, that's what I'm saying. Like there's some inspiration for people to go drinking around the world, and that you can sometimes see, drunk people stumbling around, and not a big deal. I don't think there's any danger of this happening with Be Our Guest restaurant and Disneyland. I really think it's okay. I think there's a time and place for everything. I don't think that Disneyland or Disney Magic Kingdom Park are a bubble unto itself where there shouldn't be any alcohol. I just think it's not a place where people should be encouraged to do heavy drinking, and none of these, I think, encourage that heavy drinking. So I'm fine with it, and I think it's probably about time, I guess. I
did not know about the Be Our Guest restaurant because I thought that Magic Kingdom was still protected or under that same no alcohol bubble like Disneyland is. I'm going to go back to my college psychology and use the foot in the door phenomenon or theory, which Rick is familiar with, maybe?
I understand where you're going with it. I don't know if I've heard of that theory, but I understand what you're saying.
So foot in the door phenomenon is that once you try a little or you give a little in one area, it just opens it up to more happening.
Right.
So I'm not crazy about it being in the park at all. I like that they had an entire park like no alcohol policy, and then let the other parks be the drinking parks and a little more, for a little more like adult.
But do you think
entertainment?
Do you think that one restaurant in the back corner that's a very hard restaurant to get into, people are lining up and they're going to drink themselves silly in that one place?
There are some people that just it's so easy to say like, oh, everyone will keep it together, but you have people that can't,
right? That
no matter any opportunity they're given to drink and they take it too far and then they act out. And it is a place for children, and especially Magic Kingdom and Disneyland.
You can't take the alcohol outside of the restaurant walls. I don't know if you. Okay. I didn't mention that.
So there is some protection there still. Yeah.
I think it's so small.
At all the other ones, you can walk around with it.
Right. And the Disney security is going to be so on somebody who's being unruly or inappropriate that I think they can handle it. Or threatens
to, even makes a threat that they're building a meth lab. You're out.
He wasn't drunk, but...
Yeah, I feel at the end of the day, it's still Disney is Disney, and it's safe, and it's good for the kids. But it's like, we say this now, it's 2015, what's next?
Right. Yeah, I can see that, but
so it's more of a it's like be a tough parent. Like if you're going to make a rule, stick to it. But that's just my mentality.
Yeah. I could go either way. I could really go either way. It doesn't. I know it was such a long-standing big deal within, and that maybe people didn't realize it, but it was a big deal. And then just like that, it changed for one restaurant. So I really, either way, I'm okay with it. If they decide to take it out, I have no problem. I don't want to see beer stands all over the park. I would have an issue with.
Yeah, for sure.
But, okay. So you're number 3.
My number 3, I was just really interested to learn that this was so controversial, was the opening of Animal Kingdom. I don't know if you knew about this, but there were a lot of riots with animal rights groups for welfare of the animals. And some animals did die from moving to new climates, or from somewhere like hit by vehicles. So it was a very touchy time. And on opening day, there were protesters, and they had to have officers there for protection. There were no arrests. So this was back in 1998. And so it's just interesting that some people didn't. And maybe this was just such a small niche thing. But I was taken aback. I love Animal Kingdom, and I think it fits in well as a park.
I think anytime you create a new zoo type environment, it's not a zoo, and not a zoo, the old or deal with animals, I think you're going to have I don't know if I call it a vocal minority, but a certain part of the population that's going to be very, very careful, animal rights and what have you. Understandably so.
Yeah, no, I think it's great that people are caring and being vocal and looking out for the animals.
Right. So when you have Disney, the big bad Disney, and dealing with animals, it's all they might think it's all about the dollar, and they might do this right, but by any means necessary to make the money. And I think that creates natural controversy.
Right, for sure.
And I'm guessing that Disney does a real good job of treating, I don't know for a fact.
Yeah, the thing is, we don't know what they're doing, but we can only hope that they're the integrity that they try to show in other facets of the parks and their movies, that they show that with the animals and take care with them.
Yes.
Versus maybe their neighbor
right
down the street. I won't go there. I kind of, but you in
the negative. You're always so negative all the time.
I know. It must just, must just ooze off you and hit me.
So but that's a good one. That is a good one. That's one I did not have on my list. My
number
3.
No, your number 3.
Number 3. Getting ahead of myself. This is a good one. Number 3 is what I call the Frozenification of the parks. I classify this as the Maelstrom in Epcot, Norway, being turned into a Frozen ride. I also call this point 2, the Aladdin show in Disney's California Adventure being turned into a Frozen show musical. We've talked about this in the past. It's not a huge deal. People like their Frozen. It's not taking over the parks as much as we perceive it to be taking over the parks. But you have a couple things that I think maybe it was time for a change, but we don't necessarily need more Frozen. We'd like to see something different. I think a lot of people, apparently not many people because there's a demand for it, but a lot of people just don't want to see more Anna and Elsa and Olaf and all that sort of thing. Anna and Elsa. Sorry, Anna and Elsa.
No, I just know that children everywhere would be up in arms.
Anna and Elsa. And I just, enough's enough sometimes. I mean, there's other things out there. And I get it from a business standpoint. I really do. But people... I think we can put the brakes on for a little bit on the Frozen stuff, and I think a lot of people would agree with me.
Mm-hmm. Well, full disclosure, Frozen is taking over our lists as well because that's my number 2 as well, but more focused on just the ride.
In Norway.
Epcot. Replacing the Maelstrom. Maelstrom. I always feel like I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah.
So I was just also really intrigued by that, and because a lot of people, that's an older ride that people feel a lot of attachment to and nostalgia for. I guess my take on it is if that's the most, if they're gonna inevitably do a Frozen ride or attraction,
it's too popular not to.
Exactly. So if that's where they're gonna do, if that's how they're gonna do it, I'll take that over them doing it in Magic Kingdom in a more visual, in our face way. It's kind of tucked away at the World Showcase.
In Disney Sea, in Tokyo Disney Sea is having a whole Arendelle land, I think, be built.
Oh, bless the poor park.
Disney Sea is supposedly a wonderful park, and
right, but that's what I don't want in the U.S.
Right.
I would not like. I think that's too much. It's just
right.
And maybe if they built it 5 or 10 years down the row, people might be more excited or like, oh, we're into this. But it's just I feel like you can't go anywhere without.
It feels like that. I mean, I don't think it's as much as we think. I just think people have been hit over the head.
And children bought the bought a lot of the merchandise, and then they wear it around. So maybe they didn't buy it last week, but we still have to walk around and just see, like, oh, a Frozen lunchbox, Frozen headsets, Frozen sneakers, I
think in Disneyland right now, which is the thing I'm most familiar, there's the Frozen show at Fantasy Fair. There's the Frozen sing-along at Disney California Adventure. I think those are the only 2 Frozen things right now that I can think of.
Which is enough.
It could be changing, but that's
enough.
I agree.
Yeah.
But we see the merchandise everywhere, and that's
yeah. I think on top of the merchandise, and we know a sequel's on the way.
Right.
Whew, save us.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, it'll be nice to get something new. Frozen Fever was wonderful because it was something new. I thought it was really cute.
Yeah, I loved Frozen Fever.
It was really cute,
actually.
but it was just nice to see something new.
Yeah.
It's seeing something for those of us who have kids and wanted to watch it. That Frozen's a movie, by the way, that I think I saw 5 or 6 times in the theater. And not to get into why I saw it.
I did see it twice in theaters, or 3 times.
We were on a cruise where we saw it once. We saw it with my kids. There was a sing-along at the El Capitan here in Hollywood. Everybody got sick, so I took each kid at individual time to see it.
It was so fun in the beginning.
Yeah, it was.
We sound so jaded, but like it's a great movie and great music.
Too much now.
Yeah, we just need a breather.
Yeah. That's all.
We got to go watch some Pixar movies or something.
So
Good dinosaur.
Okay, so we have my 3 and your 2 are in agreement.
Your 2.
And I'm going to 2, right?
Great, yeah.
All right. This is one that had a lot of rumblings about the Pirates of the Caribbean changes that happened at Disney World at Disneyland. There's 2 changes that happened over the years. I'll go to the 2006 change, which added Jack Sparrow and Barbossa and Davy Jones to the ride. I frankly think, I'll start off by saying that I think that the changes were good. That the animatronics they added were really neat. It fits in. It doesn't really take away from the feel of the ride for me. Maybe the one exception being the Davy Jones mist curtain that you go through.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, but I'm not saying I don't like it, but I'm saying it does change. It does
Oh, the
change
feel
the
of the
feel in
ride?
that spot because I don't think
okay.
there's anything there
I think
before.
it enhances it.
That's
if
fine.
anything, yeah.
I'm okay with it. I'm
Yeah.
okay with it. But I could see people have. But everything, the other changes having to do with the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Is it Caribbean or Caribbean? I always want to say
Pirates Caribbean.
Okay. If I say Caribbean, forgive me.
sure.
It's just lodged in my head. I don't think it's a bad thing. But some people, the purists out there, probably weren't so happy about it. The other thing that probably had more of an issue with, in 1997, they changed the scenes where the pirates were chasing the women around, and there's another pirate, they call him, I think, the pooped pirate, they often call him. He's talking about finding a woman and let's share her, and just an idea of possession and chasing. So they changed it. Now the women are chasing the pirates who have their jewelry. I can't remember what the pooped pirate is talking about, but it's not about, getting this woman and having her for, as a possession. That was a bigger deal because people felt it was a little bit PC. It was the idea of the time that this is kind of how things would go. I guess I have mixed feelings about it. I think it doesn't send the best message to people, but I also think it's a piece stuck in a certain period where that's how pirates behaved, and it's not nice, and it is Disney, but that's what it was. That's how the ride was done. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree. I love all the movie add-ons. They never changed the plot of the ride or that, so it wasn't anything that you're like, oh, the ride's entirely different. That's a tough one. The changes with the
pirates and the women.
Yeah, I definitely love sticking to historical and like how it would have been. And maybe that's giving more credit to kids that they're going to really even pick up on who's chasing who.
I didn't pick
that's
up on
the
it
thing.
as a
Yeah,
kid.
I'm like, I don't think the kids are really, I definitely, because when did they make those changes?
1997.
Okay. I would have been pretty young. I'm like, I don't,
But
yeah.
I was
definitely
young.
wasn't like, oh, they changed now. Who's chasing? That's interesting. Yeah. So I think it's fine to keep it. But you hope that all parents, like if it did come up, all parents would be like you or someone that's going to explain that
Right.
This is historical. This is how things
used
to be. Now we don't do that.
There was an added thing on it where there was a heavier set woman chasing a pirate, and that one I could see a little bit more of being, because you don't need that. You don't. It's funny in its own way, but the message that it sends is not so great. So that change
She was chasing him.
Yeah, she was
to get him?
a heavy set woman was now chasing the pirate. She was the woman that was chasing the pirate, where the other pirates were chasing these other perhaps svelter, skinnier women around, and then the heavy set woman is chasing the pirate. That one I can understand the change. I mean, it's PC, but
But I mean, everyone in olden times was of different figures, and I don't know.
But that would probably strengthen the case of why
it's like you
it's not
could go
necessary.
through the whole park and be like, oh, the dog is really thin, and he looks malnourished.
The PC
yeah,
police.
yeah,
I
you
understand.
can take it really far.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, this is a ride about pirates back in the day.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, to each their own.
These are
Enjoy
tough.
the ride. I love The Mist. The Mist is bomb.com. I love The Mist.
It doesn't affect me.
Doesn't always work at Disneyland. I can't speak to Magic Kingdom because I haven't been in a while.
Right. They just reopened. It was on refurbishment in the Magic Kingdom.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see.
It'll be working in January.
We'll see when you go.
Yes.
Okay. Number one. Your number one, Briers.
My number one is the closing of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride in Magic Kingdom. And this is shoot straight to the nostalgia. I love that ride. Out of all the ones in Fantasyland, all the dark rides.
Do you like the one in Disneyland?
My favorite, yes. And so it is still in Disneyland. So I feel like I can get my fix now. But I wanted to speak up. Wanted to speak on behalf of the Magic Kingdom one. Mainly, too, what's most upsetting is that it closed to be replaced by Winnie the Pooh. And I can't remember specifically the Winnie the Pooh ride in Magic Kingdom, but I know the one in Disneyland, and it is not a good ride. It is a poorly done, like they skimped on the budget or something went wrong. That ride is a lot of it looks like a little bit of like a science project, or not a science project, I guess, like an art project.
I like the exterior to the ride, but the interior of the ride is just...
And the beehives that you sit in are fabulous.
Yeah.
This little seats, but you go in and it's a lot of like flat cutouts, minimal. I don't know if it was the time that they made it.
Right.
There's no technological advancements. I don't know.
I don't know if that's the one at... I don't think I've ever been in the Disney World.
They tend to use the same maps and things.
I thought about that one. I also thought about doing Snow White's Scary Adventures for the Mine Train car. But those two, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and Snow White's Scary Adventures, are still at Disneyland. So while it was a loss, I feel like it still exists.
I think most Americans aren't like, I can split my time between the parks.
You're right.
If that's the only one they have to go to. So I looked at Snow White. I felt like Snow White was more justified. I haven't been on the new ride, but it looks like it was being replaced for a very cool ride. Whereas I think the tough pill to swallow here is like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is being closed for a bad ride.
Right.
I'm going to go and say it. I hope for all those Winnie the Pooh fans out there who love the ride, the 5 and under crew, I apologize.
Right. Well, my kids like the Winnie the Pooh ride, but it's not my favorite.
Great. It's not.
It's not very Disney. It feels small, and
I get off it, and I'm kind of like, I didn't need to do that.
Those are the changes. And Mr. Toad was a fun, crazy ride.
Toad, and it's got it's so much character and so specific.
I agree.
And the outside of it, how it looks like it's engraved with him, or he's like cut in stone.
That's a big number one for you. That's not what I would have guessed a number one for you.
I felt that passionate about it to make it my number one.
Interesting.
Long live Mr. Toad.
Well,
isn't there? I think when I was reading up on it, they pay homage to him in that dang Winnie the Pooh ride. Yeah. you said. Well, you're like, that's very common. I know it is.
They do that a lot.
Just wanted to say, I thank you, Disney, for keeping the sacred ground of Mr. Toad. Even though it's been ruined.
You know the tribute in the Winnie the Pooh in Disneyland, right?
Is it the one where you have to look back?
Right, and who do you see?
And you see someone's head of not a moose.
Yeah,
it is a moose.
Buff, from Country Bear Jamboree, the Country Bear.
Okay.
Yeah, we might have talked about this in a previous. I can't remember.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure we haven't.
But yeah,
it hasn't come up. But I had a friend tell me about that, and that's my favorite part of riding the Winnie the Pooh ride is just looking for that head.
Seeing the head.
I'm
only
so
animals.
focused on that. I'm like, forget about this honey. Drugged up. You also just feel like you're a little bit on drugs.
The heffalump, whatever part of it where
he like overdoses on honey.
Yeah,
that's the storyline.
Pretty much.
I like this is turning into a whole Winnie the Pooh.
We've taken a dark turn here on the Disney Click. I apologize. If you have your take on dark turns, tweet us at the Disney Click. Okay, don't eat too much. My number one is I went back and forth on this one, where to put this one, but ultimately I think this was a number one. Briers, you ready to flame me here? They changed in Walt Disney.
As ready as I'll ever be. Let's see.
They changed the Tiki Room in 1998 in Disney World in Magic Kingdom to under new management with Ago and Zazu
from The Lion King.
Yes.
It briefly had some excitement.
Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad.
Worse than it already is? Wow, I can't imagine.
Some of us don't think it's that bad. But yes, it was worse than what it already is. It was cheesy. It was Gilbert Gottfried's voice was...
The Tiki Room? Oh.
Cheesier bad. Not cheesy good like the Tiki Room is now. Cheesy bad like you have Gilbert Gottfried's voice just screaming at you, and they sing... He does a song... A Friend Like Me. He does his own version of A Friend Like Me from Aladdin, and it's all the charm is sucked out of the Tiki Room. I know there's no charm now. Don't even say it, but it was bad. And
what year did this happen? I'm just curious.
1998, and it went back it went back to 2011. It went back to the original version.
So they kept it a while.
Well, but the fact is they changed it back.
That's a long time. Yeah.
Well. I mean,
and this was at both Tiki Rooms?
No, only at Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
Disneyland always stayed the same, thankfully.
So I definitely saw it with the bad version, so that could have messed me up.
When's the last time you've seen the Disneyland version of the Tiki Room?
It's been a while.
How long?
Because I've avoided it.
How long? Have you been to? When's the last time you've seen it? I think we have a controversy here.
Maybe 2012.
So you saw it that one time. Are you sure? You don't seem so sure about this.
I know. No, I'm just not sure of the year because
I was
forced to go once.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay. Forced to go. Here we go again.
So it was changed since then.
No, it's
it was
the
never
same one.
changed?
No, the Disneyland version was never changed.
Okay.
The controversy is they changed it to under new management, and it was horrible. It really, really, really was bad. I saw it. I came out of there being like, "Wow, this
Crying.
is." I don't think I was crying, but
Got some Dole Whip to console yourself.
I was not eager to go back. And the exterior of the Tiki Room in Walt Disney World, in Magic Kingdom, is very cool too. They just
Well, it's a better park.
destroyed it.
Just setting
Okay.
up our
Yeah.
listeners maybe for the
Yeah.
future.
Anyway, so we'll agree to disagree on this
Okay.
controversy. So,
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Great top 5 though. It's interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting, and we have a lot of agreement.
Yeah.
We'll leave it to the end to.
I
to
found
not
most
agree.
of ours was people feeling things were controversial that I was like, oh, I thought that was a good change.
Yeah, you had different things that I was thinking of, but
Our only overlap was
the Frozenification of
Frozen.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it gets a bad rap. It almost has gone the other way. It's almost swung the other way of being
Now
like, it's
people
not
have
a
been
bad
so
movie.
negative. Yeah, that's like, well, we need to remember where this all started, and it was a good movie.
It's a good movie. It's just been overdone. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
So, all right, let's
Okay.
do our next thing.
Next up, make your case.
Okay, so for this next segment, it's a little open-ended, but Rick and I are just going to share some things that we are defensive about when it comes to Disney. So anything that maybe if a friend brings it up or you hear someone talking about it, we kind of get on the defensive and have a lot to say. Do you want to start us off, or I can either way?
Doesn't matter to me. Why don't you want me to start? All
Yeah,
right, I'll
you
start.
go
I'll
for
start.
it.
Simple. These are just general things. And one thing that I've heard people say is that the food at the park stinks. I hear that a lot. Now there's I'm not sure why you're laughing, but let me state my little thing here, and then I don't know if you had this or not, but I think what people are saying is that the food is so expensive. When I hear that, I don't think people are saying this food is awful, considering that it is basically banquet mass-produced food. I think they do an incredible job in a lot of spots. Some of it is, there's some parts that aren't so great, okay? But, the Tomorrowland Terrace restaurant, the burgers and whatever, just so. The stuff in Fantasyland, it's once in the Standard Burgers Fair, it's just okay. But they do a lot of good things. And I feel like the people who say that haven't really tried a lot of the different places, like the Paradise Garden Grill, in California Adventure, Flo's V8 Cafe, Blue Bayou, and some of the vendor foods are really quite delicious. And once again, I feel like people are just saying, I cringe a little because I feel like people are saying, for what I'm paying, it's not good food.
That's how I feel.
What's that? For what I'm paying?
Yeah, I think for how much you pay in like the war for something, it's what is it, like almost $15 maybe for like
it's
a
a lot.
bread bowl. Yeah, and I think.
But is
and
it
part
bad?
of it too? Yeah, it's not great. I think for that much money, you could get a solid meal in so many other places.
But is the food, if you put that food up to something else,
that you paid the same amount for?
the bread bowl? No, let's say you didn't pay anything for it. You put that bread bowl, soup or salad or whatever, against something else of
Where?
similar, just outside of the park.
Of
and
similar
you're not,
value?
No, you're not paying anything for it. It's just the food as it is.
I would say it's not as good, but I do defend the food. I think there are some niche restaurants like Blue Bayou and stuff that again you're paying more for them, but then they're very good. So it's like you're paying what you would pay at like a super fancy place elsewhere, and then getting like $2 signs worth of food.
If you compare the food to other theme park food, how do you think it ranks? Because then all the
Definitely
expensive-
much better.
Definitely better.
But we're also paying more to get in initially. I mean,
Sure.
the parks themselves,
Well,
which
yeah.
I am defensive about. Which transitions would you like me?
Sure, of
okay.
course.
Yeah. So my first thing is the price of the park tickets is something I get really defensive about, because I have friends that see the price and they scoff and they're like, "Ugh, Disney is so overrated. They just charge so much." But I disagree. I've been to Six Flags out here, and it's way cheaper. And I felt like I got it equated. I got my I forget what it was, $30, $40, $50 worth. And I feel like I was getting $50 worth, and it was not a great park experience. I didn't want to stay the whole day. Disney, you get there and you want to stay until midnight. So if you get there at 8 o'clock, you're getting, 16 hours in the park. Right. I think in terms of bang for your buck and the fireworks and just everything and the rides, the detail of the rides, you can't get anywhere else.
I think with the recent price increases, this is very timely because I do think that although it's starting to get prohibitively expensive, your dollar for dollar entertainment value from a Disney park is far greater than, let's say, going to like the State Fair or another park. Mm-hmm. They change things Absolutely. Up. They do a lot of things. There's a lot of rides, not a lot of that time can be spent waiting in line, but they just do things to a level that I think, while there is a premium for sure, you go to the State Fair. I say this all the time. You go to a State Fair. The cost is cheap to get in, but you probably spend $5, $6, $7 on each ticket to go on a ride, and least. The food is definitely the same cost as Disney. What you're paying for,
a little too, maybe like $3 or $5 for
maybe,
but you're not. But it's like terrible.
Yeah,
food.
And there's not the extras. It's basically there's very few extras that you have. Disneyland is kind of a one. It's not one price because you're paying for food and there are add-ons for sure. But there's so much to do that you can go without spending any more money if you want to.
Mm-hmm. And I think people think that Disney, they're out to make money. Obviously, they're a business. But I think people think, they're just jacking up the prices because they can. But I think part of it, you look and the crowds only increase every year, so people are still buying the ticket. People still see it as, and they want to keep the crowds at a certain level. So there's some crowd control. So they're also using that money and putting it into the parks. We see that with the refurbishments they do consistently. They take care of the rides. You can go to some other places and you can see that they've let things go.
Right.
And Disney does not do that.
Let's be clear. I do think that Disney could put more money back into the parks, but they are a business, so let's not lose sight of that fact that while we love and have attachments,
we don't know. It's got to be
they could put
very
more.
Expensive.
They're there to make money for their shareholders. They could put more money in. It's okay that they don't. I understand it's a business. I'm not rallying against that.
It is a business, and we can't.
I think they
overly fault them for that.
Right. I think they could have kept their annual passes the same price, and they would have been fine. I really do. But people are going to pay it.
But with the annual passes, I was going to say too, even if people are just complaining so much that it costs so much, you can do the lowest annual pass and you can do a very affordable monthly payment. That's not bad, as much as people pay or less.
That's assuming you have the time to go on a weekday, basically. It's not so easy.
Right.
So it's not so flexible. I get both sides of it. I do think that it's
expensive, but if almost everyone I've seen that's scoffed at it, then once they've paid the price and gone, they totally get it. And that's the thing. I think it's people making that judgment before they've even been in the park. Right. And that's why it gets so defensive.
And what we're saying leads into another defensive, right? It's just flowing here. Is the idea that Disney is the evil empire. I hear that quite a bit. What makes Disney any different than the GE, the Apple, the Google, the Procter & Gamble, whatever you want. Their job is to sell you product and make money. They are not. I don't think they're any more or less heartless than anybody else.
They're not claiming to be something else, though. They're not claiming we're not commercial.
Well, I think it gets confused. I think it gets confused because they are about providing dreams and hopes and a wonderful experience for their customers, and people confuse that with meaning, we're not. You guys shouldn't be charging money for the privilege to do that, and that's just not the case. They are a business. They are a big corporation, and it is their job to their shareholders to make money. They need to continue to provide the best possible experience, possible, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a right to get what they can. And I think people mistake that sometimes because it's Disney that they're supposed to be happy, fun, cheap land, and that's not what they are.
And then you lose that quality that we love so much. That kind of goes into, I was thinking too, people complain about it being too commercial. I had written that down, and I think it almost feels like they're getting penalized for being so popular.
Right.
It's sorry that people go and that it does well and people like it. It's this double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It's you can't. There is a huge nostalgia factor, and it's been around a long time, but then it's continually has people going back, and it has crazy crowds.
Right.
So you just have to let that go and be we're going to enjoy it for what it is. I'm sorry people like it.
I'm dodging the Frozen reference when you said let that go. Just sorry. I just kind of went into
it.
I that is a big thing for me because once again, I'll say you can say the evil empire about so many different corporations. And I'm sure people say it about Apple or Microsoft. I know they do, but there's just a much more of a attachment with Disney and families and little kids and happiness.
People love to attack.
Yeah,
to attack Disney.
Not everybody, but a lot of people.
No, yeah,
do.
there are people out there that are like, oh, it's so want your money, and but Did you have another?
I do. I have another. Do you have another one to talk about, or? 'Cause I got another one. If
you go, and then I can do one.
Okay, I have. This is a simple one. This is a type of person at the parks, the stop in the middle of the park walker, and it's not a Disney defensive. It's hard to apply it exactly, but I've been with people who just are lost or confused. They stop to tie their shoe, and I get very kind of annoyed at people who just stop in the middle of the pathway and just like.
It sounds a little like an annual pass person.
Maybe.
Because I didn't know there was a stigma against people with annual passes
that
is. Go and have this like. That's you and I. We're both annual pass holders. Full disclosure.
But would you stop in a crowded mall? Would you stop right in the middle of this tight packed? Would you just stop, make a sudden stop to look at a map?
No, but there are people who would in a mall. So I don't think it's a Disney or non-Disney thing.
Right.
I think it's someone's missing like something in their head, like a cog
they
in their head.
don't think about it or something.
Yeah, it's like a human thing. You're just like, this guy is not smart.
I guess this is an anti-defensive thing. I get very defensive with people who don't have an issue with when somebody just stops in the middle of the pathway. That's something I get very defensive. Like, move out of the way, please. Move to the side.
I think it's just like a human nature respect thing.
Yeah.
There definitely is a way you should move, or like I like to ask for the front on a lot of rides.
Right.
But I try to do that. You go up to a cast member. I try to do that with like so much respect to them, and I know that they're trying to get people through. I don't want to be like, oh, I want the front. So I always ask nicely. I always let them know that I'm willing to wait 2 or 3 cars. You know, if it's like or like the back on Thunder Mountain is the back's the best. Some trivia, I think it has the little kick.
I agree.
And I'll wait for it, but I'll wait. I'm like, I'm willing to wait. I don't want to put you out.
Right.
And you don't have to like accommodate me right now. So I think you can do things like that in a nice way and still be humane about it.
Right. So that's a little one for me. What about yours?
That there are not enough big kid rides in the parks. That's a big, and I wouldn't go on the defensive and be like, oh my gosh, there's so many. But I think there are some. I think people think there are none. That it's just entirely for little kids. Some people, some very.
I don't think there's any hugely thrilling rides in the park.
No,
like
but
a big roller coaster.
Some people are Tower of Terror are genuinely like think that's really scary.
Right. Or
and
California Screamin'.
California Screamin'. And Radiator Springs Racers, although not scary, but it has so then that goes to my defense though, is like, okay, so yes, it doesn't have the Six Flags, the scare factor. My big defense though is that what Disney brings to the table cannot be matched anywhere, and that is the ride quality and how that starts from the moment you step into the queue, how the cast members are dressed, the entire queue getting on, you're fully immersed, and that cannot be replicated.
Right.
I mean, that's unique to them. And other places have tried to do it. Universal. That was an intentional cough at Universal. They've tried. So
it's
copied.
I do think that people, a little bit of a counterpoint to which that I do think people are right that there's not big thrills at the Disney parks, but I also don't think that that's what the parks are. If you want to go for the roller coasters,
they're not going out there being like, oh, we're trying to scare you. Yeah.
And that's perhaps what I like about the parks. There was a time and place that I really loved roller coasters, and I still can do roller coasters. I just can't do them as often as I once could. I get dizzy with age, it's your inner ear thing. It's one of the things about getting older. So I appreciate what Disney is, that I can do all the rides and have very little
and not
problems.
Have pain or feel nauseous.
Maybe a little bit of motion sickness after Star Tours, back a little bit achy after Matterhorn, but nothing that ruins my day, nothing that takes me out of it for an hour. Just, it's fun. It's still fun to me. So I agree with that. I have another defensive Disney, but I'm going to let it go because I think it's going to be a longer discussion. I'll hint at it.
You're going to let it go?
I'm going to let it go. I'm going to hint at it.
Let it go.
I'm afraid we're going to get into this. No, I'm not going to mention it.
Stay strong.
Yeah, I'm going to stay strong because I know once we get it, we're going to have to talk about it. So I apologize for even bringing it up. All right.
Yeah, well, I'm good. I feel like I've defended
We might revisit this topic later on because there's I think a lot of things that could be brought up, and to Briers' chagrin, there are things that I feel defensive about. We'll get into that.
I'm shocked.
Oh, geez.
No way.
All right.
Get ready for Stump Briers.
So last but not least, we have a quick. Briers always talks
sweaty.
about
I'm nervous.
her love of Pixar and particularly Toy Story. Now I really love Pixar, and Toy Story is one of the things we really agree on. But I'm not a big trivia guy. Certainly not with the animated films and the Pixar or otherwise. But I think Briers is about to prove her knowledge here. She's looking
Or
me
lack
here,
thereof.
she's like, you're setting me up.
I know this. I feel like this is the setup for failure. I love Pixar, regardless of what happens.
Okay.
I feel in my heart. I've watched all the commentaries of the movies. I feel good about that.
Okay, so this is just a short quiz based on Toy Story, the Toy Story films. A lot about
There are
Easter
5 of those,
eggs.
right?
And 5 Toy Story
Yeah.
films?
I'm kidding.
Oh,
I
okay.
got you though. Oh my
well, no,
God.
I thought you were talking about the specials, the Toy Story Terrace.
Okay.
I think
Are those included in the trivia? 'Cause
There
I
is
did
not, but
Okay.
wouldn't there be 5 of those if you include have there been 2?
No, there's been more. There's been Toy Story of Terror,
Right.
and then
Is it The Land That Time Forgot?
yes,
Is it-
The Land That Time Forgot.
am I
There's
forgetting
been the one with Rex. That's a Partysaurus Rex.
Oh, was
And then-
that a whole short? Was that a whole show on
short.
ABC? No, it was on ABC.
Oh, you're
I'm talking about
including
only
just because
stuff.
they aired
yeah,
on.
just 'cause they were, yeah.
Well, I was including.
No, yeah, I'm talking
But what
about
if it went to theaters before as a short?
No, I thought. Well, I mean,
well,
this is
that's getting
semantics here.
nitpicky.
Semantics
Okay.
here. But that's why when
And
you
there's
said
the Hawaiian
when you said
Vacation.
5, I thought you meant
No, I was
the
being
3.
sarcastic. There are
Gotcha.
3.
You
There's
being
a 4th
sarcastic?
coming.
What?
Never.
Okay. So
nervous.
So here we
I just
go.
want to get one right. That's
Here we
my
go.
goal for myself.
I think there's one you're definitely going to get right. I think there's more you're going to
starting
get right.
easy or starting with like a soft?
I don't start any.
Soft lob. What's the term?
I'm not going to be easy. This is the Disney
Okay.
Click. You're supposed to know your Toy Story stuff
so-
here, okay? All right. Several books on Andy's shelf feature previous Pixar short titles such as Knick Knack, Red's Dream, and Tin Toy. The Tin Toy book also reads what? The author's name.
John Lasseter?
Yeah, Lasseter.
Lasseter.
Lasseter. Yep.
Is that the question?
That was the answer.
Oh.
Lasseter.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. That was
Doesn't
okay.
Rick seems disappointed that
No,
I got it right?
I actually thought you were going to get that one right. That's one I thought you were
Oh,
going to get
great.
right.
Okay.
Okay. This one I think you're going to get right too. I have faith in you. All right.
I don't have faith in myself.
The desk lamp and ball in Toy Story are from what Pixar short?
Luxo Jr.?
That's right. Correct. All right. You're keeping it. All right.
So
I think you'll get this one too.
Really high.
I think you'll get this one too. I have faith.
Okay.
What Mickey Mouse item is on Andy's wall?
Is it a watch or
Yeah.
a clock?
Giant watch. It's
Okay.
a giant watch.
Yeah.
I had that watch growing up. No kidding. It was on my wall for many, many years. And love
so
that.
it's a watch. It looks like a watch.
Looks like
and
a
it
wrist.
hangs
It
on
looks
the
like a
wall.
wristwatch.
Yeah,
Looks like a
hangs on the
wristwatch.
wall.
I had one of those.
That's
One of my
so
favorite things
cool.
growing up. Love that.
A little trivia about
yeah,
Rick.
just so cool. This one you will get.
Don't say that anymore.
No, this one you will get.
Because when
You're-
I don't
you're
get
out.
it, it's going to be awkward. Okay.
What is the number on the license plate of Andy's mom's car? Can you pronounce it right? That's the other thing.
A113.
You got it.
Okay.
You got
And
it
that
right.
is a reference to the classroom where Lasseter and some other
California Institute of the
Cal
Arts.
Arts, yeah.
Yep. Very
studied.
good.
That's
See?
one that's one of my favorite trivia
Okay.
about the movie.
Yeah.
They put A113.
I'm
all
throwing
over.
a couple in here that I thought Briers should
Some
get here.
soft
But yeah. This is
throws.
one. This is one I'm not sure. This is one. Let's see.
I
if
don't
you
know
get this
either.
one. All right. Zurg's robots that appear in Buzz Lightyear, Attack on Zurg at the beginning of Toy Story 2, have eye scanners that are a tribute to what sci-fi show?
Oh gosh. Wait, his what again?
Zurg's robots. When he
His
lands on the
robots,
planet, he lands on the planet. All those robots is the beginning.
I know, and
beginning
I
of Toy
can't
Story
even
2.
think of like
And their
Star Trek.
eyes. No,
I have no
no.
idea.
Yeah, I thought I might stump you on this one.
Because I don't even know.
Yeah. Do you know what it is, Mason?
If I could see a picture, I certainly could.
Oh, okay. That's all right. So it's Battlestar Galactica. The Cylons have
okay.
the red dots that go. I used to love that as a kid. I think it might be a generation thing because
Yeah, because I never even watched
that.
Battlestar
Yeah.
Galactica.
Yeah,
Sorry, everyone out there.
the old school show. Love it. All right.
Disturbed.
I thought that might be one you might not get. All right?
Not
But
a real fan.
I can't
ever watch a Toy Story movie
I can't give
again.
you all softballs here. All
No,
right.
It's fine. It's fine.
What characters from A Bug's Life appear in Al's abstract painting? What characters from A Bug's Life appear in Al's abstract painting?
I know Heimlich walks across the leaf earlier in the movie. In Toy Story 2 you're talking about.
Correct. Al's Toy Barn. The owner of Al's Toy Barn.
Is it some of the circus bugs? Or is it Flick? Not Flick. Ooh.
The circus bugs are
It's
closer.
the circus bugs. Is it the spider?
Nope.
P.T. Flea?
Nope.
I don't know.
Tuck and Roll and Dot. I know Dot's not really a circus bug, but Tuck and Roll are.
So
right?
Tuck and Roll.
Tuck and Roll Dot.
Okay.
It's an abstract. Go online. You can see. Look up. It's a real abstract kind of painting. But
in his
they're
office
there.
at the
Al's
store.
Toy Bar. Yeah. It's very. I never noticed before.
Yeah, there's a lot of Bugs Life stuff in Toy Story 2.
Yeah,
I knew about some other ones.
Well, Toy Story 2 is like it's one of the only. It went Toy Story, Bugs Life, Toy Story 2, right? Is that how it went?
Yeah. So all they had to reference
is Bugs Life,
which is funny.
Yeah. So I had to take a lot of those questions out. This is one of my favorites here. This is from Toy Story 3. What's Sid's job in Toy Story 3?
Oh, he's a trash collector.
Yeah. Garbage man.
Yes.
He has the skull shirt, right?
It's the same guy who voiced Sid voices him.
There you go.
That's one of my favorite.
Right.
That's from the director's commentary.
These aren't too hard, right? For some fans such as yourself, it's not too bad.
No, those other ones were pretty tough.
Okay. All right.
The ones I missed, I think, were hard.
Let's see if you get this one. What's the number on the train in the opening of Toy Story 3, and what is it a reference to?
It's 95, and it's a reference to the year that Toy Story 1 came out.
Yep. As soon as you got the number, I knew you'd get the reference. But the question was,
yeah.
How'd you know that? How do you know that one?
I forget if because I know that they're so specific with their number choices. So I feel like when I saw the film the first time, I was like, 95 has to mean something. And I was like, I think that's the year. But I also, anything with Toy Story 3, I recommend an excellent director's commentary where they love to be very open about all that.
Right. Oh, good.
And they definitely said that.
Last one. You officially got a passing grade no matter what. Okay.
I feel like I got a B plus maybe.
Yeah, I think
B
so.
minus.
I think
we'll
so.
See.
And I think you'll get this one because this is a Toy Story 3 one. In Toy Story 3, there's a postcard on Andy's wall on his bulletin board from what Pixar characters? Let me read that again. Did you understand that? In Toy Story 3,
I know.
There's a postcard on Andy's bulletin board from which Pixar characters?
From Fred and Ellie in Up.
Who's Fred?
Not Fred. That's not even the characters from Up.
Carl and Ellie from Up. That's right.
Carl and Fred.
I don't know. Interesting.
Fred also sounds like an older. I feel like
Very
I've done
good.
that before. I knew it was the Up characters.
I told Briers. I only told Briers ahead of time, and she did not do any research on this. I only told her that I was going to do. It was going to be a Toy Story thing, and there was going to be a lot Easter egg heavy. And that's
but to be fair, out of all the Pixar movies, I know the most about Toy Story.
Well, I wanted
and the least. So you gave me. Thank you.
We will do this again, and we will choose something that you know less about. But I wanted to ease you into it.
And possibly I'll quiz
see.
you.
We'll have to find a good subject.
Stump Rick. It has a good ring to it.
And we'll have to figure out a good subject. So that's it, guys. If you have any questions or comments, Twitter @ the Disney Click, Instagram. Hashtag the Disney Click?
At the Disney Click.
At the Disney Click. Sorry.
Use the hashtag top5 Disney Click to share your own top 5.
This is what Briers does the social media tags.
I like to watch Rick do it.
Get it wrong
I enjoy
every time.
Watching him squirm a little.
All right.
It's
Thank
fun.
you very much.
You're very welcome.
I had a great time. I can't speak for Briers.
I had a great time. Surprisingly.
Oh.
With so much controversy and things, I
read negativity.
Exactly.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Very nice.
And my nerves are gone after that.
Okay. I'm sorry we had to make you wait through the whole show to get there. All right, guys. Have a magical week. We hope you join us next time.
Take care.
The Disney Click is a Meltdown Presents production, produced by Terri Lubaroff and Mason Booker. Audio engineer, the miracle worker, Mason Booker, with your hosts, Rick Lubaroff and Briers Newman. Our theme song, King of the Swingers, is performed by the Swing Ninjas and provided by freemusicarchive.org. Jazzy Frenchie is our break music and can be found on bensound.com. End credit music Dill Pickles is performed by the Heftone Banjo Orchestra and provided by freemusicarchive.org. Don't forget to tweet us at The Disney Click. You can also follow us on Instagram at The Disney Click. Use the hashtag top5 Disney Click to share your own top 5.